So it's my favourite time of the week, again, reading your comments on the Kermode Uncut site. Biggest response this week was to the subject that I raised last week about whether or not a comedy film actually had to make you laugh. If it doesn't make you laugh, is it not a comedy? Can it be a comedy without laughs in it? And I was raising this specifically in relation to Cemetery Junction, the new Ricky Gervais film, which didn't make me laugh, but I do think is a good film and it is a comedy. Many very interesting responses. This from Hugh Ferguson. Perhaps if a comedy doesn't make you laugh, then the filmmakers have made an error. Or maybe they've made a comedy full of errors. Ba-boom! This from Jenko. I cherish the movies of the great comedian Charlie Chaplin. This is close to my heart because for a long time I couldn't get on with Chaplin at all. I was a big Buster Keaton fan. I didn't get Chaplin. And then a friend of mine said, well, you don't know the darker side of Chaplin. And, you know, actually I've been convinced since then. I cherish the movies of Charlie Chaplin, in particular The Kid and City Lights. However, I doubt if there are 5 laughs in either, but both are still comedies. I mean, particularly in relation to The Kid. The Kid is one of those really weird films when you don't laugh, you just kind of sit there feeling melancholic. As is Woody Allen's Crimes and Misdemeanors. This, I think, is a great example. This is a favourite of mine, but it's not that funny. You remember the poster for it was a picture of Woody Allen and Martin Landau, both looking really depressed. This from Stephen Glass. Surely the king of comedy needs mention. It's humorous in the same way that Company of Men or Starship Troopers are, deeply disturbing, but to the extent that all we can do is laugh. The satire is right on the money. However, I don't think I laughed out loud at all in the film, despite it being a classic revered comedy with a terrifyingly cheerful, odd and upbeat ending. 2 comments now, particularly related to a new release out this week. This from Luma. Todd Solondz's films are incredibly funny but hard to laugh at. And The Mongoose of Death, good name, says, I found Todd Solondz's films, well, Storytelling and Happiness, to be funny on first viewing and downright hysterical on repeat viewings. I honestly think Happiness is one of the greatest films of all time. This is relevant because the new Todd Solondz film, Life During Wartime, is out in cinemas this week and really brings to the fore that question of whether you have to laugh at comedy. There are things in Life During Wartime that are clearly very, very funny, and a couple of times I laughed despite myself. There's a marvellous scene with Ali Sheedy, who I'm a big fan of anyway, which is really dark and rancid and nasty and makes you feel incredibly uncomfortable. I did laugh a couple of times, but it is really hard to laugh at or even with Todd Solondz. Now, this, of course, was the one that was going to have to come up. This from Welsh Film Buff. I'm going to have to mention Dr. Strangelove, which actually I had in the back of my mind when I was doing this blog. Marvellous performances, gorgeously framed cinematography. But the sheer fact of the matter is there are very few laughs in it. And then this from Spectijim. I don't think there is a definitive answer. That said, I'll never forget what my father said to me when I asked him prior to watching it myself which parts of Dr. Strangelove had made him laugh. He replied, it's not really a comedy that makes you laugh. It's a comedy that makes you cry. Finally, this from our old friend Bill Paxton's second biggest fan. Is Plan 9 from Outer Space a comedy? No. Is it hilarious? Yes. Is No Country for Old Men a comedy? Yes. Is it hilarious? No. Argument solved.